So thank you for the opportunity, and I think it's a very, very relevant topic in particular because all of the earlier speakers talked about the opportunity and did focus at some length in terms of the lack of penetration and the stuff to do. And I do believe that the key to all of this is distribution. So I'm going to focus, and it could be a bias towards health insurance and subject which I'm very, very passionate about. And so my presentation is probably skewed a little bit more onto health insurance rather than insurance. Now, above all, I do believe that customer experience is the pulse of every business. And I do believe that this is something which would make a difference in terms of taking that penetration from the 3.7% to a higher number and come closer to the world averages. Providing customer service, customer experience is not just about reducing the risk of customer service mishaps, in my opinion. It is increasingly a way for companies in a competitive market to distinguish its brands. And we just heard in the earlier chat about how important brands are, and incumbents have to have that brand to fight sort of disruptive players. As a result, I find that companies who are very, very product-centric are adding another dimension and becoming very customer-centric in all of their approaches. There has been, as we know, a paradigm shift from traditional distribution channels. And when we started insurance in 2001, or when the private sector opened up, it was largely agency, and then came bancassurance. And today we have newer channels, digital, point of sale, and a number of others. So delivering a superior customer experience, in my opinion, is much more than having a call center or a mobile app. It requires significant investments, relentless improvements, collaborations across departments, across channels, across business functions, from distribution, underwriting, and to claims. So here comes the importance of training. And I think this is something which everybody needs to get right if they need to succeed. Insurance is no more just product selling. It starts, in my opinion, from sort of understanding what that customer needs. It's no more one size fits all. And then offering the right product, which in our case, in the health insurance, is a lifelong service commitment. Interestingly, the first person or the first set of people that customers meet are agents, or agents in this form, and in this context could be of any kind. It could be a chatbot, it could be a physical agent, it could be a call center agent, and the agent makes a promise at the time of selling. And in this case, this is a promise on behalf of the company, and it is lifelong. In health insurance, when I say lifelong, it is from the day you're born till your last day. And I don't believe there is any other product which sells from day one to your last date. So it's so very important to get the agent's professionalism in place up front. A distributor's mental and emotional commitment can be greatly enhanced. And we found that the more amount of effective training and development you give, the more amount of customers they get, and the more hungry these people are in terms of additional training and development. And the converse is also true. If your training and development is not effective, you would hardly find them in the room when you hold these, and the attendance would be very poor. So what lacks in current training mechanisms, and what can be done? Take, for example, a call center. Usually, call centers are housed with people in the age group of about 20 to 25. And very often we found that they're dealing with customers of a different age bracket who are more in the 30s and 40s and maybe even the late 40s. And it's very important that the person in the call center is able to relate to a person who's at a much elder or higher age group. And so to be able to converse and to be able to ask the right questions and to be able to actually put forward the correct product in front of that person. Under the point of sale channel, people usually are from completely non-sales, non-financial backgrounds, due to which they don't really have an understanding of firstly financial services and within financial services insurance. So it's very, very important for us to make it a simple, easy process if we go down the channel of point of sale. And the third thing, which is a bit of a challenge, is that customer needs are changing over a period of time. Insurance bought, and I've looked at it my own example, insurance bought in my early days is just not sufficient. You've got to ensure that your distributor of any kind is continuously looking at this. It doesn't start and stop at the end of the first sale. It's a continuous process. As the customer ages over a period of time, the distributors must be encouraged to start looking at the increasing needs of the customer. To stay abreast of the new training methods, there are a number of opportunities. We have seen a number of launches by a number of insurance companies, but I believe this is just a small start into something which needs to go into significantly more investment. Mobile learning is something which I've seen companies use, we've seen ourselves. Today we're talking about single companies having lakhs of agents. Now if you look at even health insurance, several of us are have lakhs of agents. Life insurance is many more lakhs. So how do you ensure that each of them who represent you, who are making promises for you, speak the same language and sort of have the same value system as the company itself? And I think mobile is something which has been very effective. It's been tried, tested, and it's been successful. Mobile learning enables small-sized courses to learners without restricting them to a fixed time into a classroom. It allows them space. It allows them to learn at their own place and at their own time. Now, mobile could be again of different forms, and some companies have adopted successfully video-based training. The cost of video and the broadband coming low, and I do see that this sort of approach is going to take much more pace than we have seen in the past. Just to talk about the changing environment, I talked about initially we started off with agents, which was the traditional channel, and then I mentioned about financial institutions such as banks. And then came the call centers, which was very involved in sales pitches. The sales activities focused largely on specific targets. But here in call centers, one of the most critical things, in my opinion, is to have very, very measurable parameters on which you measure efficiencies of the call center. It could be in terms of volume, volume of calls handled, call queuing time, number of customer purchasing, and number of repeat complaints, having NPS on an episodal on every transaction, calling back the customer to see. And this actually increases the awareness, increases the focus, and improves the call center staff to provide that better service. Artificial intelligence is something which is now coming into play. A number of companies have been using artificial intelligence, particularly to deepen penetration, either through upsell, and we heard in the previous presentation, we heard about the sum insureds being so low. An average sum insured, which I was shocked myself, was 1 lakh. So artificial intelligence today is something which is available to all insurance companies, and it can flow into the hands of distributors to sort of increase sum insureds, be it health insurance or it could be also used in terms of cross-sell, upsell, cross-sell more in terms of different products come into at different points of time. So if you had a product 5 to 10 years ago, there is probably today a rider or a new product or a new version. Dengue might be an additional feature. So artificial intelligence could help the company as well as the distributor in terms of identifying who are the potential purchasers of this and sort of targeted it. So instead of having 20 sales calls in a particular day, you could have a more effective approach of using artificial intelligence of having 20 calls and converting 5. Maybe you could have 10 calls and convert 5. You free up your time to do more calls. Chatbots is something, again, in my opinion, a distributor in its own way, and it's very, very important to get this right. Many companies have gotten to it, but sometimes the machine learning which goes into it, the data is not sufficient enough, not deep enough for it to give the right answers. And many a time I've seen chatbots being a little bit of a failure, a bit of a nuisance for people, and they just pick up the phone. So if we go down the channel, I think it is extremely important that the data which sits behind the chatbot and the machine learning works and is continuously fed and with the latest data in terms of getting it right. But moving on in terms of digital channels, point of sale is something again which I mentioned. Today it could involve a grocery store, it could involve a chemist, it could be telecom operators, it could be the kirana walas, and I think it's very, very important for them to be given specifically designed products. Yes, the regulator has sort of given a framework to that in that line, and I think it's left to insurance companies to sort of make it an easy, simple process, because this is not their first line of business. This is an ancillary income, and it's very important. It's an important channel which reaches the length and breadth of the country, but it's equally important on the insurer to make sure that they get the right product in the hands of the POSP person, and in terms of the processes, in terms of selling, as well as in terms of servicing. So I would like to just, I know I do have a little time left, but I would like to conclude that in terms of penetration, in terms of what we need to do, distribution plays a very, very important role, and in my opinion, distribution is changing it's changed over the last few years. It's going to change more. It is going to be a lot more machine-led. It's going to be a lot more in terms of artificial intelligence and machine learning, but all of this needs to be put back into a human being at some point or other, at some touch point, for us to make sure that penetration increases at the desired level, as we have spoken in the earlier sessions. But in conclusion, I'd just like to add, I'd like to say what Bill Gates said. As we look ahead into the next century, leaders will be those who empower others. To become the leader of your industry, that's the insurance industry, it is indispensable to infuse power into your services and empower others. And here I mean whatever distribution channel which you use. The right training mechanism, be it with or without machine, is the key to enhance customer experience. And with customer experience and with superior customer experience, you would get that penetration. Thank you.